Hi, welcome to Spiral Dynamics Integral Live, our Zoom group that meets every Saturday at 7 Pacific and throughout all the time zones of the world. Today, we're super excited to have Lynn and Jose Fuentes. Is that how you say it?
Yep.
All right, good. And I just want to share, I heard about them on a podcast and they're running the What's the Future, WTF, Integral Conference. And this is going to be my first Integral Conference. I signed up right away. I'm really excited about it. And I'm so excited. So they're here to share the vision, why are they doing it, why now, all that good stuff. And then we're going to be opening up to questions from our group. So I really hope everyone joins. We really need to get back together. I think it's important to do this sort of thing. And I'm teaching yoga. All right, with that, let's turn over to Lynn and Jose. I'm not sure which of you guys want to speak first.
I guess I'll start. Yeah, we're longtime integralists. I discovered it, well, both of us discovered it somewhere in the early 90s. And so we read absolutely voraciously, went crazy. It was like, oh my God, this is incredible. Bored all our friends. And then started going to the early conferences. I went to the ISE conferences. I think it was 2003 through 2008. And then we met each other at What Next, which was 10 years ago. Missed the next one because we both had the flu. And then sat around sort of the last several years thinking, well, somebody ought to do something. Is Jeff going to do something? Is Diane going to do something? And nothing happened.
We used to go to Denver to the Integral Living Room. That was every year.
Yeah, we went to that and the Integral Theory conferences. We went to a lot of stuff, and so nothing was happening. And then COVID came along, so obviously really nothing was happening. So last winter, around December or so, we were talking. I was saying, well, is anybody going to do anything? And then I suddenly got up one morning and I said to Jose, you know, it could be us because there are two of us.
We also put the first Latin American conference in Colombia.
Yeah.
That was
2019. We did that one.
In 19, yeah.
Yeah. And we brought a lot of people to Sedona, teachers and things like that for our own integral salon. So we had some experience. So I thought, well, we've got a little experience. There are two of us because there's all kinds of stuff to do. Easier than one person trying to do this. So I just said, how about it? He said yes. And then of course, a week later, we thought, what are we doing? but we went ahead. And what we decided what really needed was, we have all these amazing people with fantastic minds, great hearts, the capacity to work at big picture levels. And yet I'm not sure we all know what we could possibly do in the circumstances we find ourselves in. I mean, the world is crisis after crisis, you know, problem after problem. So isn't this the time that Integral should somehow step forward and offer some kind of leadership? But how? So that was kind of the motivation for it. Is, you know, what's the future? What is the future? Can we in some way tweak things somewhere, pick off some low-hanging fruit somewhere, or take on a project, influence people, bring our ideas into the ideas that are already out there. So how do we do that? So we then thought, well, we could have a conference in which that is the focus, because a lot of integral conferences, particularly the theory conferences, are going and listening to people talk about different aspects of the philosophy and things like that, which is wonderful. I mean, I've loved them all. But Integral gets a reputation for being heady. And we wanted to get away from that and get into actual relations. And then Terry Patton was a good friend of ours, and we lost him a year ago. So our idea was that we would have a conference exactly on a year of his passing. I don't know, you want to say something about Terry and the inspiration? I'll say.
Yeah. Well, I also want to say that when we got the inspiration, we made a list of, 40 people, most of them friends of us that are people like the who and who in the integral movement. And Lynn wrote a letter to all of them. And oddly enough, all of them immediately say, yes, this is needed. So we had probably 20 speakers in the last 2 weeks that we started the idea. And one of the things that we say in the letters that we wanted to do the conference at the year anniversary of Terry Patton's passing. Terry was an amazing friend and an amazing figure in the integral movement. And he was developing the New Republic of the Heart movement that was going very strong when unfortunately he had lung cancer, and within 6 months he died. So we talked to the people in New Republic of the Heart, and they loved the idea. So we just, that was another reason why we put the conference. So yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think Terry's focus always was action. He would come to the conferences and people would almost shoot him down sometimes because he was so vehement, so passionate about the fact that we have to do something. It's not just talk, we have to be out there doing something. And then he also wedded these two principles of internal growth and then external action, so that the two sides of the equation. So we want to bring that in too. So honoring Terry and honoring Terry's principles are a way that we also want to focus this conference. And so what else do I want to say here?
And one thing that I want to say, one of the people that are coming is Jeffrey Martin. So we have, and this is a person that is doing the quote unquote practical thing in awakening, because he's doing something, it's called the Finders, which is an experiment. He has interviewed more than 1,500 spiritual teachers. Interviews, not an hour, the interviews that lasted for 2, sometimes 3 days in depth. And he has come up with a map of locations where different spiritual teachers are and places you can achieve. So that's going to be another aspect of growing up and waking up, in this case waking up, but it's very practical because it's taking the guru thing out a little bit and showing how there's many paths and many experiences you can achieve. And he put that on the umbrella that is called well-being, non-persistent experience. What is PNS?
Persistent, non-symbolic.
Non-symbolic experience. That's the name he gave to somebody. Persistent, non-symbolic experience.
Yeah, which is to say we're branching out a little from just the traditional integral people. So we've invited Jeffrey and a number of people when we met Jeffrey, and a couple of the younger people, some of the millennials, met them, and then that exploded into a whole new crowd of people who are working also in business, in bringing integral principles into business, personal growth, many other things. So we'll have some of those people there too. So we hope that enlivens another section of the conference. So what we want to be is about solutions more than postmodern angst. We want to try to get away from that, the moaning and groaning and all right. Well, integrals are more, or yellow is a more optimistic stage, it's a more practical stage, it's a more capable of creating context, not just noticing context stage. So that's what we really want to emphasize. So we're going to do everything we can to try to keep it at that level. And we just heard, I think you sent it to us, Beth, the Emerge debrief. That was really fascinating. That was really good.
Yeah, thank you for that. That was a very...
Several of the problems they had encountered, and it made us think about how are we going to try to avoid some of those issues or do some of the things that people had wanted to. So that was really helpful. So our structure, a little of our structure, one of the things we want to do is deal with COVID, because apparently they had an outbreak and people were, some people were concerned. So there are people, particularly in this group, that are getting older and are definitely at risk and have asked us before coming. They are very concerned about COVID. So we're going to have careful protocols, which is test yourselves 3 days before, test yourself on arrival. If you get sick, wear a space helmet and join us, or be outside in the outside parts or something. But anyway, don't bring it in. And once you get there, we're going to have all meals on site. Everything's on site. So you don't have to go out of the conference bubble. I talked to Diane Hamilton about this, and she said that had worked for them, that once people get there, stay there. Don't go out to bars and restaurants. Do that after the conference, but hang out. It also makes it kind of a retreat if we all stay in the same environment. Now, not everybody wants to stay at the hotel. So, if you have to go home somewhere else at night to sleep and come back, but the idea is don't get out there and get something you can bring back to us. So I want to emphasize that we're going to try to be as careful as we can. I don't want to be like the police on this subject, but we're hoping people take it respectfully. So the conference itself is going to be structured with speakers in the morning and early afternoon. And then starting around 2:30 to 5, we're going to have groups, themed groups. So you can pick whichever area. And when you go to sign up, you'll be asked to pick an area. That's just to give us some idea ahead of time what areas are most interesting to people. But when you get there, you'll be able to reselect or whatever. But at the moment, we have 10 or 11 options, like existential threats, social justice, human development, AI, all of those kinds of topics. So the idea is to get together with other people who share similar interests and actually figure out what you might do. So we're going to try to come up with some guidelines. We'll have facilitators for each group for how to do this. But the idea, we have 2 days for that. The idea is the first day you meet, you come together, you look for areas in which you might do something, cohere as a group. The second day, perhaps come up with some beginning plan that you could follow after the conference. And then on the third day, I think we'll try to have some space to hear from everybody, just the new ideas they come up with. And ideally, those groups of people will continue to network, and in whatever form, I'm not sure. It's going to be pretty open. That part of the conference will be much more open. Late afternoon, early morning, late afternoon, we're going to have movement of some sort. Thank you, Beth, very much. We're delighted. She's going to do the yoga. We'll probably have meditation in the morning. I think we might ask Doshin Nelson to do that. So we'll see. If not, somebody will. Maybe Jose will. And what else to say? It's a beautiful place. There is a lot of opportunity for being outdoors. Hopefully we'll be able to eat outdoors some of the time. The weather at the beginning of November can be gorgeous, 70s, 80s, but it can also be 40s, just, as a sudden surprise to everybody. So we're hoping it's more the 70s, 80s, and we can be out around. We try to price the conference just to break even. We're not looking for any kind of profit. So the hotel is fairly expensive. Sedona is an expensive place to come. So we wanted to make the conference cost and the meals, which meals are all on site, make that as reasonable as possible for people. So
you can talk about the venue if you want.
Yeah, why don't you say something about that?
Well, first of all, like Lynn says, Sedona tend to be in a high-end price, but because we're doing the conference on site and we have an agreement, so people can take a room and they can be even up to 4 people in a room, and they're very comfortable. They have, so that will, take the price down. If you have friends or people you want to be with, $300, $350, you can have a room for 3 or 4 people. It's a full service hotel. It's on a 19 acres property. So we have a heated outdoor pool, whirlpool spa, massage, it has tennis courts, and also has a state-of-the-art fitness center. And also, the other thing that is beautiful staying in the hotel or staying a night is that it has this huge tree garden, and it's an amazing place for stargazing. And November is it's a no-light city, so you can see stars. If you live in a city and you have never been in a starry place, you're going to be very surprised of what you can see at night. The meeting place, we have 85,000 square feet of meeting places, and like Lynn says, all meals are included. And we have a central meeting room and some breaking rooms, and everything is going to be broadcast and filmed, and the people coming will have that film sent to them. They have access to that. And like Lynn was saying, we're looking for people that make the groups to create a plan of how to continue meeting. And we know because of the pandemic that it's not difficult to create groups and continue meeting like we're doing right now. So that's basically, you want to talk about the structure of the conference?
Well, yeah, I think we did a little bit. So the mornings are going to be devoted to ideally being inspired. We've asked speakers to focus on what they are doing and what they're going to do, not on so much on the problems or not so much on the theory. So we'll see, what they say. So the idea is we'll be inspired in the morning and we'll come together in the afternoon. And then in the evenings, Friday, well, we start Thursday evening. So that's just welcomes, introductions. Roger Walsh is going to talk then. And then Friday night, Sebastian Siegel is going to show us Grace and Grit. And he's going to talk to us about love and transcendence. And then on Saturday night, we're going to have a dance party.
For Terry, in honor of Terry.
Yeah.
He
And we
loved
also, I like to play games. When we went to the integral living room, we played games and it was just great. So if anybody's that's coming, that's got some good games to play, that would be super. We can have a section of that. So I remember
we have a DJ for that dance.
Yeah. So you want to mention the pre and post conferences, Jose?
Yes. So the other thing that we're going to do is the first day from 9 to 4. There's going to be there's a pre-conference, Hispanic pre-conference. So it's going to be only in Spanish. And we expect, little amount of people that will be bilingual to assist to that. But it's going to be mainly an event online. Although, like I said, it's going to be a small group there. And this is to keep the Hispanic community involved. We've been doing this online. And the last day, we're going to have a special group of people, because there is a lot of people trying to do things. Like, for example, you guys have a group, and if you wanted to make it bigger and promote it, there's always marketing issues. There's creating a website issues. There's a lot of things that are happening, and they cost money, and you have to find who to do that. So the idea is to see if we can create a company that will give services to all those people, kind of pulling up resources to lower cost and have people that are clearly helping people in the spiritual or in the integral area and the promotion area, with the understanding that we're getting to a point in which promoting the awareness of things is not what is needed. I mean, everybody knows that we have climate change. Everybody knows that we have a lot of problems, but we need to start doing training and outreaching and education. So this company can be like a resource to support that. So that's an idea that is floating. So people wanting to do that is going to meet. It's going to be more
That's-
like a business meeting.
That's it. No, actually, that's one idea.
One
That's
idea.
not
Yeah.
the center of that idea. The idea is that there are a lot of people running integral endeavors of one sort or another, small businesses. Not everybody, but a lot of people are struggling to stay afloat. It's not easy to try to run one of these small businesses, especially with the integral movement, because not a lot of people understand it. If you're orange or green, you got a massive market. But if you're trying to do something in an integral way, it's very different. So I thought was that people who are doing these kinds of things can come together and help figure out how to be sustainable. Now, one idea is to have some sort of company, but what other ways can we help each other? How do we support each other? What are some, scaled costs that we could perhaps do? Could we find a marketer who understands integral and would help people to do that? Somebody who's really able, because one of the big problems has been the marketing always tends to be orange and people hate that. And so a lot of things, but we want to bring people together who are doing things like that, whether volunteer or for profit, and see if we can help them become more effective. So it's a gathering to do that. And we do have a fellow there who's contemplating creating some company like this that would provide services. So he'll talk to us as well. Anyway.
So basically, to recap the entertainment, we're going to have the dance for Terry. We're going to have a movie, Grace and Grit. We're going to have yoga, meditation, movement. And it's basically that. So people can have a complete day aside from the conference.
So we tried to cram in everything we could without absolutely wearing people out.
Just remind us.
Why did people make their conferences so exhausting? But now I know, because we've got a waiting list for speakers and things like that, and I want to give everybody a chance, and it's difficult.
Just remind us exactly when it is.
Oh yeah, good idea. November 3rd through 6th. The Hispanic conference starts at 9 on the 3rd. That's a Thursday. Everybody who's not going to that can register between 3 and 8 on the evening of Thursday. We start out with dinner at 6 that evening, Thursday evening. And we end with lunch on Sunday, go right through lunch. And then the Sustainable Business Conference is that afternoon, so you can stay or not stay for that. But that gives people a chance to get to airports, if we end around 2 or something like that. So that's the plan. So it's Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, and then talks Friday morning, Saturday morning, Sunday morning, and then groups in the afternoon. And you can stay on at the hotel. They've given us a room block, and you can come 2 days early or stay 2 days late and still get the group rate.
Yeah, that's what I want to say, that that's the other part, that once you hear after the conference, Sedona is really a place. There's a lot of things you can see, and you can even go to the Grand Canyon. It's very close. But if you want to do a little bit of vacational sightseeing, this is an ideal place to do it. Definitely. There's more than 140 trails. All of them are marked and very available. And there's also the vortexes and the psychic readings and crystals, if you want.
We'll have to see how many of our participants believe in that. Okay, so any final thoughts? Otherwise, we're going to open up to questions.
No, please. We're happy to go
Okay.
in the direction you want.
All right, we're going to use the hand raise system because we're very blue around here. And
Okay.
Josh is the first up. So try to keep your question to like 1 minute, just so everyone can get in there, because I think all of us have a lot of questions. All right, so Josh first.
Is there going to be a virtual component where folks can tune in from afar?
Yes. The conferences on the morning are going to be transmitted. We're just looking at how can we do the meetings in the afternoon. That's going to be more difficult. We're not sure. Probably if we do it through Zoom, we can do breakout rooms with no problem. The thing is that you need a facilitator for this, not just to be a talk. And we have the facilitators for the groups in the place, but it will be more difficult to have it online. So people that will listen to the conferences, basically.
Yeah, well,
online.
and if there are people out there who have skill in this sort of thing, talk to us, because we'll definitely live stream the talks, and we'd love to live stream an opportunity for discussion. And it may just be come together and discuss if we can't come up with themed facilitators. But if we could do breakout groups on the same themes online.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know why everyone's so shy all of a sudden. I'll go next then. So you said that the speakers are going to be talking about something new. Yeah, I think that's the thing is I have never been in one of these things before, but a lot of our members have been to them. So how are you ensuring that the speakers are bringing up new things, new fresh things that people haven't heard before?
Well, when I asked them, and I wrote a letter to each one of them, I gave them 5 general areas. I don't know where they are. I can find them. And I said, can you talk in these areas? What might make a change in this area? So if you're talking about law, where might we go? Are there low-hanging fruit? Is there something out there that we can grab right away and influence? What were the other? I don't remember actually, but I gave them kind of a selection of ideas. Now, you can't force a speaker. Some people will come in and do their whatever it is they want to do, I'm sure. But most of them, if you read on the website is integralwtf.com. Under the presenter section, if you go to each presenter, they have the title of their talk and an abstract, so you can see what they're going to talk about. And then we've also asked the facilitators, and we're going to meet with the facilitators at some point, and that will be a place to try also to keep people looking forward, looking to be in the solution, not to be in the problem, trying to keep things integral. That's, we're going to do as much as we can. We have, I think now 40 or 50 people that we know are very solidly integral, many of them speakers. So, and I think they understand the intention of the conference. So I'm hoping with that body of people that we will be able to keep on track. People do all sorts of things. We'll have to see what goes on when we get there and do the best we can. But that's my answer to that question right now.
And from the talk that you send us, we listened, and we've been talking to some of these people. We understand that one of the things that people want is the opportunity to be face to face and talk. Aside from the conference, there's a lot of, networking to do and what you're doing and what is happening. And if you're going to talk to someone like Royal Wash, we're not gonna talk about there's levels of development. We all know that. We all know that there's problems in the world, and we all know that artificial intelligence is coming up. And so we're gonna try to see what are we doing, what new ideas, and take that opportunity to network with people.
Okay, Steve's up next. Remember, everyone queue up, and I'm keeping track of who's next, so don't worry.
Cool. So yeah, that sounds like a great conference. I mean, I'm in the UK, and I don't think I'll be able to be there in person, unfortunately. But are you recording it? I know you're live streaming it, but will you release the recordings as well?
Yes.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah. But
we have a professional team that is coming.
Yeah.
It's going to be record several cameras and produce in a good way. And people that signed to the conference will have the first option to the recordings. We're going to include it. Depends on how because like Lynn was saying, we just wanted to break even. if we have some, we're going to give that. Otherwise, we're going to sell it for a very low price.
Yeah. Because it's a topic that comes up in this group from time to time, which is the headiness of the yellow, people who are interested in kind of multi-perspective views. It's a very easy place to get stuck. If you like ideas, you can get stuck in that world of ideas pretty much the whole of your life, right? So it's then how you transition from that into action. And I'm a bit schizo myself in that way. So I'm a kind of small-time entrepreneur, and I do various things. I kind of, I agitate quite a lot in various realms, but I also spend hours watching philosophy videos on YouTube. So, and even in my own life, I don't always see how to get from one place to the other. And it's something I'm constantly sort of trying to understand, of how you get from idea or concept to action, and that might be even an interesting topic for the thing itself. It's kind of like, is there, and this is me going back into the yellow again, but is there a model for the transition from concept to action? It's like anyway, that's it's a topic that's quite close to my heart.
That's a really, I really like the way you framed that. I think it's true. On that video that we listened to about the debrief for Emerge, Layman Pascal said, what we need to do is build a barn. And I think that's right. We actually need to have in front of us something we want to build. And then we don't have, the philosophy will come with us. It will be a part of what we do, but it doesn't have to, we don't have to lead with that. So I think I like that concept, even if we build a shed or, a corral or whatever it is we might build, the idea that we're actually building something, I think, is something to keep in front of us.
Yeah.
And also in the name of the conference, if you look, it's a little bit of irony.
I like that.
What,
I like
what the
WTF.
future.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
That can indicate a little bit. We don't want the other thing. We want to
Playful.
see the
It's a bit,
future.
yeah.
And that was something
Yeah, we
that
did
just
that, and it was like, can we really say this? But we've only had one person mildly offended. So.
Yeah. my one other comment would be just, I think, a lot of people feel there's a kind of urgency because of all the climate crisis, the meaning crisis, etc. That somehow we've got to get from kind of close to zero to scale very quickly. And a lot of people kind of would associate that and with, well, if you're into this whole kind of meta-modern type stuff, that's maybe an emergent type thing, and it's kind of loose networks and all this kind of stuff. And I'm wondering as well whether, it'll be fantastic if small action groups come out of this, but also if they can create templates that other people, templates that work, that other people can copy, that would be fantastic.
Yes, that I'm going to make a note of that. That's actually excellent. Yeah. We could ask everybody, every group, to do that as they work, to share the template that they use for going forward. The problem, we could even ask people we could do an update every 6 months or something. What are the problems you run into? How have you handled them? And share it with other people. Yeah.
Well, and the other thing that is important to notice is that the conference always is made by the people that come, and we have found, as we speak with people, that the response has been, no, this is a great idea. We never thought about that. No, everybody is like, wow, this is about time. So it's in the air. It's not, we just picked it up, but it's in the air. People really want to do this.
Fantastic.
I had the sense the universe picked us. It was like, somebody's got to do this.
Yeah, great. And good luck for it as well. It sounds fantastic.
All right, I'm going to go to Bill because Josh already asked a question, just to be fair. So Bill and then Josh.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I'm a big fan of integral and the spiral. And I do think that it has a lot of explanatory power. But sometimes when you try to put it into action, I think it's very difficult. When you try to change policy and whatnot. And I guess what I'm thinking is, with the current Supreme Court ruling in the post-Roe world, I think this is an excellent opportunity for us to try to figure out what the appropriate approach should be. How should we approach our legislators, and what should we do? I mean, here I'm from Indiana, and they just passed draconian law last night, criminalizing abortion. It's going to be a Class D felony, mandating taking away the doctor's medical license.
Wow.
And I mean, it's just awful. But I feel like this would be a great topic for us to try to figure out. How do you integrate red, blue, orange, green, and create a policy that is integral?
Yeah.
I think that would be a great topic.
Yeah. Yeah. I think so, because we can't forget that everybody is always there, and we have to find, like with recycling, if you can make it into a competition for orange, you can have church groups do it for blue, or you can have, the winner for red or something like that. You can make it interesting, but how do you come up with a policy that's going to suit everybody? I mean, abortion's a great issue because 68% of the country didn't want these laws. So that's a very ripe field, I think, for creating different approaches, different ways, maybe even tiered options, and, some much more complex approach to it that Integral could bring. So I think actually that's another template that we could set up, is the languaging. How do you language something like that? For example, if you're trying to promote a certain practice like recycling, how do you language it for different groups? How do you make it palatable? How do you encourage the leaders to recognize that that's what they have to do, that they can't just come on with some, green idealism and expect everybody to say, well, of course, absolutely, how could we think any other way? And recognize that people really do think another way, which has been the big wake-up call to me, how differently people think and how absolutely they can convinced they are of the way they think. I mean, I think prior to all the last 5 or 6 years, I had this vision that somehow we were all really kind of alike, and we kind of thought alike, and all it took was for good people to, put these ideas out there. That's not true. So, yeah, it takes some real inventiveness, I think. Also, when things are in shambles like they are now, when we have these sudden, awful, strange measures appear, it's the time actually when I think you can step in. I remember somebody asking Terry O'Fallon one time, how did things go so quickly to Trump? It's like we were on this course and all of a sudden whammo. And she said, well, we can go just as quickly in the other direction. And I found that really helpful. Why not? Everything, we could turn on a dime, maybe, if we figure out how to get a little traction. That's a bad metaphor, I think I'm mixing.
And also, that is a point that is going to be addressed in the conference. I mean, you talk a little bit about Steve McIntosh and Mark Fisher.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, yeah, we just heard Mark Fisher. You may have heard his talk with Corey. That was very insightful, very far-reaching. He's going to be speaking. I don't think he's up on the site yet, but yeah, I mean, he's got some brilliant ways of looking at things, seeing things that we don't always see, about what's going on with the Supreme Court, for example, and some directions to take. So,
and we have
really...
Steve McIntosh of the Institute for Cultural Evolution is coming to the conference. That's another very interesting.
We heard a talk from Shinzen Young. He couldn't make it, which I was sorry, but he is working with Jay Sanguinetti at Harvard and with Jeffrey Martin and Sanjay Manchananda. I don't know if you know these people, but they're developing technological tools essentially to wake up the world. And we came up to listening to him talk, I was just blown away. I thought, oh my God, this is beginning to look possible. So just things like that I really want us to hear about.
I can say a snippet about that. What is all these tools? I don't know, you guys remember recently that there was this guy in Google that said that the language chat is becoming sentient. Well, basically what it is a technology that is being used by Google and IBM to, for example, in medical field to diagnose. And what Shin Young and Martin and Jane Sanguinetti at the University in Arizona are trying to do is to create a database of spiritual teachings and meditation help that you can go and talk to this bot and it will give you some very inspiring solutions or yeah. So it's happening. So this might be a tool in the future, you know.
I'm going to be part of the AI tech group because I've been in tech for 23 years. So I'm excited to talk about that one. Okay. In the interest of time, we're going to go to Josh and then Paul.
Okay.
So yeah, the conference looks really great. I don't think I'm going to be physically attending, but online definitely. And it seems like really comprehensive. But one of the holes I've seen a lot in the integral world so far as understanding is ecology stuff, and I know it's nested in there under the existential threats. So I'm curious if you have anyone who has a bit of a background in that. Unfortunately, most of what I see discussed in integral stuff, it's just like, you know, modernist techno fixes and then kind of like green emoting. So and I find a lot of that is because people don't really have that more in-depth ecological understanding other than, like, you know, the guys who wrote integral ecology like 25 years ago. So
Sean.
have you thought about that much, or what's the deal?
Yeah, well, Gail Hook-Chachka, I don't know if you're aware of her. She's been involved in this area for some decades. She works a lot in all over the world. She does a number of different things. So she's going to be there. She's trying to be there. She's going to speak, and she's got a child, so she has to work out the school thing. But she's planning to be there to speak both at the Spanish and the regular conference. So she's a very fundamental person in that area. The others, you know, I am hoping more people come with that mindset, you know, looking at climate change, looking at ecology, looking at the biosphere. I'm trying to think, Jose, of any other specific.
No, I know that Sean is updating what he does. He's working, but Sean, I don't think he's going to come because he's very busy. I mean, he was recently got a post as a director of a PhD program on a university in California. But, you know, if you're interested in their area, Sean will be the person to contact, because he did write that book many years ago, but it doesn't mean that he's not on top of it, and he's continues working.
We might try leaning on him again to see if.
I mean, yeah, and I mean, I don't know if you need to contact with Sean, I can make it because I'm very close to him. I take all his courses.
Yeah, but I think
All
it's
right.
a good point, and I haven't seen a lot of people come forward in that area. So, and we definitely need them.
I really think we should have someone who's really passionate about this come. Who's
Yeah.
also like a leader and knows all the foibles. I'm trying to recruit Josh right now. Okay,
Yeah,
let's go to
Josh.
Paul.
Oh
Come, come.
yeah. Gosh.
Let's go to Paul, and this might be our last question, depending on what kind of can of worms Paul opens.
Well, I guess I'm not so much going to add. Well, I'll state a hope more than a question. Again, I want to thank both Lynn and Jose. This has really been very nice. I wish I could say I was going to come. I'm almost sure I won't, but I will definitely try to pursue some online presence. And I guess what excites me about the conference is it sounds like what may come out of it is something that I've increasingly gotten a sense of what the integral world is all about. And that is, rather than looking at a problem and then trying to quote unquote solve it, i.e. a law, a policy, you know, let's put the pin in the board right here, and then we can solve it and we can forget about it and go on with our lives. But rather than that, it's all about dynamic adaptation. It's
Yes.
all about accepting the fact that change, dynamic change,
Yeah.
both disruptive change is the name of the game, at least for the next century or two. I don't know.
For the
maybe
next 20,000 years.
yeah. And
It's the nature of things.
and that's the solution. It's not going to come out of blue laws or blue
Yeah.
policies or blue structures. There was a time for that, but that time has passed.
Mhm.
So yeah, I'm excited about this, and I really hope I'll be checking out your website to see at least how to try to attend the online. And I hope there's something that comes out of it on an ongoing basis.
Yeah. We do. I think your point is well taken. I mean, in the book Wicked Problems, they lay out this idea that one of the essences of a wicked problem is constant evolution. You don't come to a solution and that's it for all time. You just keep seeing what is the next best step here and improving things, and then 10 years from now something else. And so having that evolutionary mindset when you're approaching a problem, I think really important. Yeah. I made a note to.
And also there's a book by Kevin Kelly called The Inevitable that talks about this constant adaptation that is going to happen in technology. There's no solving problems, just so yeah, that's a great point that you're making.
Okay, I want to give a plug for the resources area. And maybe this is something people who can't attend can help with, because for each topic,
Yes.
there's going to be a set of resources. So like Steve and I are both in tech. Earl is also in tech. So if we can't go to I'm going, but if people can't go, they can at least go, like Josh can go to the ecological disaster area and give some resources. So this is a way to get everyone, and like I think of this pre-work before you join the conference, read all the things that are known about the topic. And that way we come in with a common language and we're just ready to go, instead of like, oh, has anyone tried this? Like, yeah, we tried it. It failed. Did you not read the homework?
Yeah.
I'm glad you said that, Beth,
Yeah.
because we don't want to be the ones to populate the theme area. We want people who are experts in the field to give us a seminal paper, give us a video that really describes the problem. We want to put up, not so much that people are daunted, but any suggestions you have for any one of these theme areas, please send us, because we would like to have them in there.
Yeah, and if someone is passionate about something and have some expertise, they just can communicate with us, and we can, like Lynn was saying, populate the resources area with those things. And some of the things can be just started from there, with not necessarily the conference. I mean, just taking this place where people are coming to register for the conference, but it will be a resource that stays there. And, we're just trying to ignite something, reignite, because of the pandemic and all that happened. It stopped, but we reignite. And most of the people that were doing it, like Terry and Jeff and Diane and all these people, they say that they need someone to take the banner and continue with it. So that's why we're doing this. And eventually we're going to do the same thing. We need someone to continue. Go ahead, Lynn.
I was going to say, Josh, I mean, if you're really, really excited about a certain area, but you can only be online, it's possible that you could host a discussion group in that area. So, if we have somebody to manage something, we can't manage all of the groups, but if somebody else is willing to take it on and wants to do that, then maybe we'd have fewer groups online, but maybe they'd be ones that people are passionate about. So if you want to contact us and think about that, that's possible too.
Yeah.
All right, last question, Steve.
Yeah, and I'm just coming back to your point about the sort of turning on a dime and going to Trump quickly versus going somewhere else quickly, and it links into the comment I just made in the chat as well. That it feels to me that there's quite a wide appreciation that we're in a time of transition, but there's a lot of sort of what you might almost call dark red forces coming, trying to stoke fear. And what fear is kind of encouraging people to do is to go back, back down the spiral, effectively back to their red, back to their blue, back to their orange, wherever they feel comfortable as a solution space for themselves, rather than embracing the kind of the change that's going to happen and moving forward into an uncertain new model. And that seems to be a lot of what the whole Trump thing is about. People are kind of regressing, they're kind of, or there's people inviting you to regress as a kind of safety measure. So it strikes me that one of the themes might be, if you want the kind of the action and things to be taken on the large scale, is how you counter that, that sort of forceful red, angry, fear creating sort of stuff that's going around, and getting people to engage with action in a kind of hopeful, optimistic sense. And that's people beyond the integral community. Obviously, that's people just out there in the world doing their normal daily lives.
Yeah, I think I just made another note of that. I think that's a really good point, because, the forces of darkness, we could say, are pulling very, very strongly. And there is people do want safety. They want to be told what to do. They want to be, at their world in order. They want to go back to, the 50s when they were children and things looked good. They didn't realize if you were an adult, maybe it wasn't. So yeah. I think that's a good point. I just saw the chat. Is there anything in there we should? How to register? Website. I think we got that. Integral WTF, and there's a registration.
Yeah, I put it there.
And the early bird ends on August 15th. Let's see, what else have we got? Brett, you need a program manager. Yes, we'd like a program. I'm going to be a program manager. We can use everything. We're trying to do it all. And it's hard to keep it all in all the pieces together. Scholarships, we would like to do scholarships. We're going to put up a donation button, but managing that is the problem, is keeping track of who needs one, who merits one, who's given the money, where it goes. That's another big thing, but maybe that's something we really should tackle also, Jose.
Yeah, well, one of the things, going back to what Josh started, I mean, if there are certain areas that that we haven't considered, but they want to be open, like I say, if you say it, you own it. So kind of we're open. We can give the structure. I mean, if, like, for example, Josh, I'm very clear on that. If you want to spearhead this, we can have the resources area open, we can have a group, and you can do it online. That will be an experiment, and that can happen. The other
Somebody
part
wants to run the scholarships.
Yeah, the other part that we need is people that, let's say that we want to continue with this in certain ways. So, for example, you guys have this group of spiral dynamics, but it can be another group, and some people can do it, and we'll start the thing, and we provide how to start it, and then it will maintain. And we will have some continuing the resources area and in the website. It's available to continue growing that. Or eventually it can be pulled into something like Integral Life or many other things that are happening. That's the whole idea. Okay.
All right, so we've reached the top of the hour, and I feel like we could have talked for another 4 hours, but that's why we're going to the conference.
Yes.
Right?
Yes,
we're going to go and
talk.
communicate, share ideas. I really, really want this group to come out. Come on, guys. Have you ever been to Sedona? It is so beautiful.
It is stunningly beautiful. I mean,
Yeah.
I get up every morning and I think, I'm in heaven already. This is just, I mean, it's very trite to say that, but it's true. It's absolutely beautiful.
Even as a yoga teacher, I don't really know about the vertices. I'm not really sure about that because I'm also techie, but I think there is something magical.
I've been to Sedona. My wife and I went to Sedona a number of years ago, and I'll really echo that, or actually, Sedona is where I had my big epiphany about, well, this is the ecology thing is a human problem. It's not a planetary problem.
Yeah,
You know, I couldn't tell you exactly where it was. It was a place somewhere near Sedona where there's an arch that you can walk across. I
Yeah.
wouldn't.
Devil's Bridge, yeah.
Devil's Bridge.
And we went there. I didn't walk across it, but I'm sitting up there. And it's, you know, it's a high place, and you look, and then there's a valley, and you look way across, and there's more of this layered geography or geology. And I remember looking at that and thinking, well, you know, those layers represent hundreds of millions of years. And I thought, you know, Earth's going to take care of itself.
Yeah.
You know, if we wipe ourselves out and 98% of the species that are on the planet, 65 million years from now, it's not going to make any difference anyway. It'll just all start over again. Anyway, but it's Sedona, you're right. It's a very beautiful place.
According to scientists, it has happened 7 times.
Yeah. I
So-
think there's been like 9 major extinctions.
You just have to have a long view. Doesn't seem so
All right.
bad.
And with that happy note, I hope everyone can come out and join us to create the future.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
please do come.
Thank
I mean, I think we'll have fun. We really want to have
And-
fun as well as.
And
as
great to
Mr.
meet
Ross.
new, kindred spirits. So
Yeah.
thank you very much for
Yay.
attending.
All right,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.